everybody. Welcome to The Rundown. This is a podcast like none other for horse enthusiasts, equestrians of all kinds. So I am Suzanne Myers, bringing this podcast to you. And my co-host is Brianna Wolf. She is producing the podcast. And we have been together for 10 years? 11 years now. So we have a training program. It is Suzanne Myers Performance Horses. And we train specifically reining horses. We train all kinds, honestly. Pretty much anything that walks through the door. I think that's pretty typical for most trainers.
Yeah.
We do specialize, however, in reining horses. And Brianna has been an assistant trainer for me for over 10 years. And now has her own program that she operates out of here as well. So we've been working together for a long time, and we thought about this idea for a podcast years ago.
At least 3 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think the inspiration for this, at least from my perspective, was, we're working on maneuvers. We're training horses. Let's say, for example, the lead change. You try lead change with the tools that you have in your toolbox and has worked in the past on a horse, and it works until it doesn't work. And then you get this horse in for the program and you try the same tools and suddenly it's not working. And you think, okay, well, shoot, like what would Rocky Dare do? Or what would Sean Flair do? Or Dutch Chapman? What would they do to fix this problem? Or how would they set this horse up to get this specific maneuver? So I've always, thought about those things, and, we do have relationships with a lot of people in the industry, and we will haul horses out and go ride with them. And we can find that information out because we go there and, we say, I'll pick up the phone, call Dutch and say, hey, I need to come ride with you. I need your help on this. And he's gracious enough to say, sure, come down. And so we get a lot of pointers like that. But at the end of the day, wouldn't it be nice to ask the same question to 5, 6, 7, 20 other people? And everybody's going to have a similar way of doing things, but also they're going to have their own special stylized version of that. And so I think, this podcast is really designed to meet up with a bunch of different professionals in the industry, especially trainers, and, get their perspective on a lot of different things. How they teach certain maneuvers, how they handle problems or hiccups when they're engaging and trying to teach a horse certain maneuvers, how they run their program, what's their feeding program like, what's their breeding program like, a lot of those things that I think are really important to a lot of up and coming trainers too. And our hope is to be able to network with these people and to kind of dive in and get the rundown on their programs. And then in doing that, we can deliver the information to a lot of people who don't necessarily have the means or the connections to just, go and work with somebody that we might have. Mm-hmm. So I think that's the inspiration for the podcast. And basically, we want to talk to not only trainers, but we're going to be talking to any professional in the equine industry that has an impact on somebody's program. So your farriers, veterinarians, breeding specialists, nutritionists and feed specialists, people that make a difference in the lives of somebody trying to make a living from the horse industry. So I want to give you a little bit of background on myself. Again, my name is Suzanne Myers, and I started a training program in Pennsylvania, many years ago. So I've basically been training horses my whole life. I mean, I started as a 4-H person and, riding horses as a young child. We got some backyard ponies, backyard horses, and we showed them 4-H. And I've always had an intense interest in showing horses. not showing at first, but like training horses. And, when I was showing in 4-H, everybody would take their horse to a trainer and be like, oh, my horse is, I'm getting help from so-and-so. And I always thought that like, I wanted to fix my own problems. Like that was just who I was. If I couldn't get my horse to do something, I wanted to get help from somebody, but I wanted to spearhead that. I wanted to figure it out, problem solve, and find out how to do it. So for me, it was just like I always had this drive to teach a horse something. And at the same time, I always realized that, if you're going to grow in anything you're doing, you need an education about it. So you do need to get with somebody and you need to learn from somebody else's experiences. And so I did do that along the way. But I've had an intense interest in training horses. And long story short, I developed my own training program. I did have help along the way, talking and working with other industry professionals. But when I was growing up, I always knew I wanted to be a horse trainer, but I also grew up in that era where you had to have backup plans. So I went to college. I majored in animal production as an undergraduate. And then I got a master's in animal bioscience. And then I went on for a PhD and got a PhD in the veterinary science department at Penn State. And my degree was in immunology and infectious disease. So I ended up working at the animal diagnostic lab at Penn State for about 15 years. And I was their molecular diagnostician. So I did all of the PCR work. So basically, if the animal diagnostic lab was a place where people would bring animals that died on their farm. So it serviced the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania and states nearby. And if they had an animal die, like a cow dropped over dead, the farmer would bring that cow to the animal diagnostic lab. And so pathologists would necropsy that animal and send samples throughout the lab, the bacteriology lab, histology lab, virology lab, and the molecular lab were a few that were within that system. And I was the molecular lab. So I did all basically the genetic workup on the animals. So I was there for 15 years, but the whole time I was even in college, I was training horses. That's what I did. Some people were working at McDonald's. I was exercising thoroughbreds for the local thoroughbred farm or helping people get their colts started or things like that. And when I got a job at Penn State after graduation, I continued to do that. Later, I got married and we bought a farm and I started taking horses in for training. And I just, as I said before, I would work with other industry professionals, get the help I needed to figure things out. And pretty soon, I had a developing program. I took horses that nobody else would take. Like I got a bronc that just threw 5 people. Will you take it? Sure, I'll take it. So that's how my training business started. And I got to be known for that person that would do colt starting and problem solving. And that's how I built my reputation. So I would take horses, as I said, that not many other people wanted to deal with. They had their show string or whatever. And they'd say, yeah, send it to Suzanne. She'll fix it. And we did. So along the way, I met Brianna Wolf. Brianna was how old were you when you started here?
18.
18. Yeah. That must mean that I was like 25.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, okay. I'll go with that. So she was 18 and I was 25. Actually, I don't know what I was, but Brianna came to my program as an intern and she wanted to work with horses. And I will never forget when you showed up at my farm.
I didn't have a great first impression. I did not.
She's like, I want to train horses. And she comes to me with her arm in a cast.
Yeah, what was it? A sling. Yes.
Yeah, something like that. Mm-hmm. Anyway, but I don't know. There was something about you that just like, you had the look like you were going to do it come hell or high water.
Yeah.
Like I said, okay. And I put you to work cleaning stalls.
Yep, that's where I started. Yeah, that was 2015. 2015,
Oh my
April
goodness.
of 2015. I don't remember the exact date, but it was after my birthday. So it was like the second week of April, I think.
Okay.
I kind of researched your program before I came and saw you, and I actually saw you on Cisco at the Horse Expo.
Horse World Expo.
Yes.
Yes.
I saw you there first, and then somehow through the grapevine, it was like my grandmother's friend. You trained like her Arabian or
Now,
something.
who was that?
I don't remember her name.
Okay.
I do not remember her name.
Oh, that's so funny. I didn't even know that.
But she was like, "Oh, Suzanne needs help." Like, and it was just like stall help, like general help, whatever.
Yeah.
And I was in between jobs. I graduated high school and I was like, I'm going to do what everyone else is doing. I'm going to go to Penn State. And I went to Penn State Altoona. I literally did a semester and I was like, I can't do this.
Not
like,
for me.
I just wasn't in it, And so
That's fair. I mean,
yeah.
that's.
I completed a semester and my dad's like, that's okay, but you need to get a job. And I was like, okay. I got a job at this horrid glass factory.
Hence the broken arm.
Hence the arm issue.
There's a story there.
And yeah, and yeah, I could have gotten a lot of money from why I was in a sling, but I didn't. I came and I worked horses. My focus was so big at that point, and I was like, I'm gonna clean stalls, but I'm gonna train horses. Like that was in my head, and that's how I always wanted to do that.
Fast forward.
Here I am.
Here you are, and you are training horses.
Here I am. To back up a little bit, I started riding probably when I was like 5 or 6, and I started English, hunter jumper stuff, at like the local barn or whatever, and I just kind of worked my way up there. And then whenever I was like 12 or 13, there was a guy that my dad was working for, and he was really good friends with, and they had horses, and they were retiring, and they were like, "Do you want 2 free horses?" And I was all about it. So I got these 2 quarter horses. My stepmom took one and I took the other one. And, of course, the horse's name was Flicka. So that, was the cherry on top. Just struggling and stuff with her, we had, all of my friends would be like, oh, you need to call this person, you need to call that person, like local trainers and stuff like that. And I would, but it was kind of the same thing for me. I was like, I was so interested in like how they did it. And then I thought to myself, well, if I'm having a problem, I want to be able to fix it.
Yeah.
I don't have to rely on somebody to help me fix my horse's problem. And so that's kind of where like my passion started. And I'd go to the Horse Expo every year, and then I would go to like local clinics and stuff like that. And there's a lot of stuff in like Pittsburgh area that I would go to, and I have like stacks and stacks of DVDs. And
how long did you clean stalls before you rode a horse?
Yeah, 4 to 6 months I was cleaning stalls, and I would get like 1 or 2 of like, the guys that knew the program, like the groundwork program, and I would work from there. And slowly I just kind of worked my way into the program and started kind of getting a reputation of starting colts and 2-year-olds and, working the problem horses. And
you really mastered the groundwork program. And mind you, in our program, groundwork is not just lunging a horse. There's also body control exercises, yielding the hindquarters, forequarters, backing up, flexing, getting the horse to side pass on the ground, hobbling horses, laying horses down, teaching horses, a lot of different resistance training and desensitizing exercises on the ground. By the time these horses are under saddle, like your first ride, they're looking at you like, what's the big deal?
Yeah, that's the goal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you really mastered that. You were so good. I think you liked it. Like,
oh, I loved it. Yeah.
It was just something that you were so good at. And I mean, like when we had all those, so there was one point in our program where we were working wild Mustangs. So we actually became a storefront for the Bureau of Land Management right before COVID, like 2 years before COVID. And we had 25, 30 wild Mustangs dropped off here. We'd hold adoptions and then inadvertently maybe have like 15 horses that we had to get gentled and trained to the point where they could actually go to their adopters.
Yep.
I mean, like, you kind of masterminded and spearheaded that whole thing, you know?
Yeah.
So those things are not for the faint of heart either.
No.
So if you've never worked with a wild Mustang, it's like herding feral cats, only worse because they weigh 1,000 pounds.
Yeah. That though, like, I am so grateful for that, like, part in my life though, because if you want to talk about feel, you got to figure out that feel with a wild horse real fast.
Yeah, and
because
you
it's
have to
literally dangerous.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
You have to know when to push and when to back off.
Yeah.
And if there's ever a horse that's going to teach you that, I mean, that's how we got involved in the program. You know, we had a training program and somebody once come up to me and said, "Hey, there's this Mustang challenge. Do you ever hear that?" I was like, "No." "I think you should do it." "Why?" "Well, I mean, it's kind of cool." This was a client.
Yeah.
He says to me, "It's kind of cool. You get 90 days to gentle a wild Mustang. And then you go and compete with it." And I thought, well, who wants to do that right now? Like, I've all these horses in training and I've got all this other stuff. But the thought crossed my mind. As I said before, there's no training or educational system. There's no peer-reviewed journal.
Yeah.
Or you don't have people like peer reviewing your work as you do in academia. And I thought to myself, well, okay, I think my program works. I think it's valid. And I'm, confident that we're doing right by the horses. But the thought crossed my mind, this guy could have something. If I think I have a good program, let me test it on a wild Mustang.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, why not? And so we did. And that was the first Mustang that we gentled. His name was Jazz. And we ended up winning the Midwest Mustang Challenge in 2008 on that horse. And there were, I think, 56 other trainers in that program. And to me, that was, it wasn't the NRHA Futurity. It wasn't the NRHA Derby. It wasn't the 100X.
Yeah.
But that was one of the best moments in my life because I took something that was feral on the range and my first try and I won the damn thing.
Yes,
and I was
did.
like, it was just like a sort of a fairy tale thing.
Oh, yeah.
And if anybody ever says to me, "Oh, well, they're not really wild," I'm going to kill them. In the nicest way.
Do you want to tell them about your broken leg too?
Yeah, well, we'll save that for another episode. That wasn't on that journey, but it was subsequent journeys. But those things, I mean, how many Mustangs have we gentled since then?
Oh my gosh.
This was years ago, but like...
Yeah. I mean, like the first year we had 12. 8 stayed to be under saddle.
Well, even before you came, like I had other interns that wanted to be involved. They wanted to try it.
Yeah.
So, I mentored them through several of the Mustang challenges. And then you entered the program and you worked with a bunch of them when we had the adoptions here. So, I mean, I would say
maybe at least 100.
At least 100 or more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least
and that's
100. I'm tired thinking about it.
I mean, I'm just going to go on record and say that's a shit ton of work.
Yeah.
Excuse my French,
so
but
much work.
The hours just to touch one. Like, okay. So anyway, so those hours working with those horses, like really helped you hone your techniques.
Yeah. It really kind of just let me learn the horse. I mean, at the end of the day, that's our biggest coach. That's our biggest teacher is the horse.
In our program, you developed your techniques through, what we taught you, what the Mustangs taught you. And there was a point in your career with us that you were like, okay, I'm thinking maybe I need to go back to school.
Yep.
What what prompted that for you? And tell us a little bit about that.
I just had that like desire to have that type of learning whenever I decided to go back. It's like I wanted that outlet. I wanted to challenge my brain, in a different way, and I was really interested in some of the programs that Penn State had to offer.
I'll never forget the day you told me you were going back to school and you were working full time for me, and I'm like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
What am I going to do now?
Yeah. But
I was like, oh my gosh, now I got to train another one.
yeah.
But it actually all worked out.
It did. So before I trained horses, I loved videography. I loved like digital stuff, editing,
yeah.
all of that. I loved doing that. And so I was like, I saw that Penn State had a degree that was in digital journalism and multimedia design.
And now you're the producer of this wonderful podcast.
Yes, I sure am.
love it.
I sure am. So, and it was kind of cool, especially these past couple of years, how social media and all that stuff is really blowing up in the horse industry. All of the reels and the marketing techniques and stuff, they're kind of catching up to the modern style and stuff. And so now I'm like, I recognize all of this.
But to have a reel of your run, it's so cool.
Yeah. It's just a perfect little like highlight moment of the whole run in itself. And I mean, it's a huge marketing strategy now, like in our world.
Yeah, I mean, it's so cool. Like it captures the best of everything about your run.
Yeah. Yep.
And from a marketing perspective, it's huge. From a personal perspective, it lets you look back on that event and just like relive it almost. Like I remember when I showed Prada at the Futurity in Oklahoma, we didn't do so well. Like I didn't show up for my horse that day, but that reel just takes me back to that day. It lets me relive the event, and from that perspective, it's really fun.
Yeah.
So
there's always good in a run.
There's always good in every run,
even if it doesn't feel like it.
I always tell people, learn from everybody you can. Learn the good, the bad, and the otherwise.
Yeah.
Because you will learn something from everybody.
Yep.
And hopefully through this podcast we can have people learn from us too. A little bit.
But yeah, so after I graduated with a bachelor's. Then I had a choice, and I was like, I can either full send into my degree and get a marketing job, or I'm gonna full send and be a horse trainer. And of course I picked the latter, and I bought my first horse and went full swing into being a horse trainer and showing in the reining, and I learned a lot.
Yeah. If you want to do one thing to humble yourself as a horse trainer, go show.
Go show.
Yeah.
Go show.
I was never so humiliated as the first time I showed my own horse.
Oh.
But I was also able to walk through that humility and suck it up, basically, because I knew the only way to get better is to take criticism and to let somebody coach you.
Yeah. The game is so addicting.
Oh my gosh, you're in competition with yourself.
Yes.
And indirectly with everybody else who is running in that same class.
Yep.
Yes. But that's what I love about the reining. You go in there by yourself.
Yep.
And when you come out and you watch your run on that video and you're like, oh my gosh, why did I do that? Like you're so self-reflective on how you did things with your horse. It's never like, well, that person cut in front of me.
Yeah.
You can't blame anybody else. You go in there, it's you and your horse. You know what you have out of the pen. You just don't necessarily know what you're going to get when you go in the pen.
Yep.
But the skill and the experience that you gain from going back in time and time again, it makes you such a better horseman, such a better horsewoman, such a better trainer, and so much better for the horses at home that you're working on.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That is your continuing education in this industry. we get a lot of horses in training, and people are very excited about the product that we deliver to them. Basically, a trained horse. And you've been here now almost 11 years, and so you're seeing the feedback that our customers are giving us. Their horses are here for 2 weeks, and they're like, oh my gosh, I already see the biggest difference.
Yeah.
And to us, it's just a normal progression of the program. You do step 1, you go to step 2, you proceed to step 10.
Yeah.
But a lot of people just don't know the steps. But people would say to me, so how did you learn this?
Yeah.
I mean, I can't thank you guys enough. You've done so much for my horse, and this is wonderful. Where did you learn this? And at some level, I look back and I think, I don't know. I spent a lifetime trying to figure stuff out.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did. But then if I have to detail it, I would say, I grew up, I went to college, I got married, and somewhere between growing up and having my own farm, I learned a bunch of stuff. And I, like you, I would go to every expo I could find, but not just to meander, the booths of the vendors. I mean, I would go and I would stay there till midnight, 1:00 in the morning, till every last clinician left. I wouldn't call myself a stalker by any stretch. But, okay, well, I mean, maybe somebody else would say that. But I mean, I studied them.
Yeah.
This was back when John Lyons was big. Clinton Anderson was just getting started. Monty Roberts was around, but I went to one of his demos in Altoona, actually, but he wasn't my biggest person. I really latched on to, of the national clinicians, Josh Lyons and Clinton Anderson were the biggest people that I followed from that niche of clinicians. And I took several horses to some of Clinton's clinics. I will never forget. Yeah. So there's this one time, this is when he was in Bell Center, Ohio, where Brandon Brandt is now.
Yeah.
So when Clinton was there, I took a horse to him to one of his clinics, and it was good. And then a couple of years later, I went back with another horse, and I kind of snuck this horse in. I'll never forget. It was a 2-year-old that wasn't started under saddle yet, and they were accepting only riding horses. But I was like, it'll be fine. I'll just go, because I knew I could do it.
Yeah.
But I wanted to actually I had sold this horse to somebody, and he wanted me to take him there. So I was like, yeah, it'll be fine. Take him there. Well, I'll never forget, I got it off the trailer, and his assistant at the time, Shayna, was like, well, the next day she realized that he wasn't under saddle, and she's like, is he under saddle? And I'm like, no. But it's fine. I'm not afraid to ride him. It's fine. I just want to do it. And she's like, well, we can't have you in the clinic, but we'll help you outside, out back in the round pen. And I was like, whatever.
Yeah.
And I thought at the time, I was getting special treatment,
right.
I didn't have to stick around with all the other fuddy duddies. I could just go and work with Shayna and Clinton, and we did, we got him started. They do a lot of in the round pen, driving assistant in the middle with the flag and helping you. But it was great. We got the first couple of rides on him there, and I mean,
that's awesome.
It was perfect. I didn't get kicked out, and I thought it was great.
Yeah.
So I would study people like that to the nth degree, and say what you will about Clinton. Some people hate him, some people love him. I happen to have an immense amount of respect for his knowledge, and I think he is the master at marketing.
Oh yeah.
Horsemanship and training techniques. He leaves nothing out.
Yeah.
And I respect him for that. There are plenty of other clinicians that there's a big gray area.
Yeah.
When you buy their DVDs, you're like, oh my gosh. At least for me, because I have enough knowledge. I know enough. I want the nitty gritty. Like I want more.
Yeah.
Give me more.
Yeah.
You know, and I've bought other people's, and it's just like, well, I already knew that. You
Yeah.
know, so I think for me, at least, Clinton was that person that if I didn't know, I knew I could find the information from his library, I guess.
Yeah.
But so I did a lot of that, and then I was working at Penn State, and I realized that I really wanted to start showing too. And when I started to get into the reining, I realized I'm a trainer. And by this time, you know, you'd been with me for quite a while, and I'd had enough experience training horses. Like I knew how to get one there,
Right.
but I wanted to go show one.
Yeah.
And that's a whole new ballgame.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
So then I started to dive into people like Dutch Chapman, who is in the NRHA Hall of Fame now. He was very instrumental in coaching me when I first went into the show pen with reiners.
Yeah.
And Brooke, my daughter Brooke. So I can't thank him enough for that. I've gained a wealth of knowledge from him. And then I started working with Rocky Dare a little bit, and he's also an amazing trainer.
Yeah.
But so to this day, we continue to call people up. You know, we've worked with Brandon Brandt, Rocky Dare, Dutch Chapman, like I said, Josiane Goutier, and others. And I think this podcast is really designed now to help other people reach some of those people, so it doesn't take them a whole lifetime to get some information
Yeah.
to add to their programs.
Yeah. Sometimes I think about the amount of networking and connections I've made just, you know, working alongside you and going to different programs and, you know, even horse shows. I mean, horse shows is like one of the biggest places that we learn most. But just having that network, some people don't have access to that. Like if I wasn't your assistant trainer, I wouldn't have met these people, you know, and I don't think it's really hard to, you know, say you're a horse trainer and not have that network behind you. I don't think there's a single horse trainer out there that does not have a fleet of people that have trained horses before them.
Yeah.
You know, like they have a phone book full of, I got this goofy horse and I need help with it. Like it's different than all the other ones.
Yeah. So I think you make a very valid point. Like you need people in your camp. Like you need to have a network of professionals that you can liaise with, you know, somebody that you can pick up the phone and say, look, I'm having trouble with this lead change. What would you do?
Yeah.
Like, help me. I need some help. So you need to either be able to pick up the phone and talk to somebody or put your horse on a trailer and go get some help.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, I think that's really the focus of this podcast is to, you know, try to reach out to those people and get some of that information so that other people can access it a little more easily.
Yeah. I think it's, you know, like you were saying, some people just don't have the ability to do that. And I feel like it's very beneficial for people to have more access to more ideas and trainers, because although there are a bunch of, you know, videos and DVDs and stuff like that, you know, just as much as you and I know, after you start working with hundreds of horses, they don't fit into 1 step, 2 step, 3 step. Like they can all get the same concept, but each one is going to learn different. And I think that's where it's super important to have that large network of people who might have worked with a horse that's different than all the ones you've worked with before, because they're all so different.
Yeah, and everybody has their own unique way of doing things. I'll never forget, I went to look at this horse with one of my clients. She was looking for a reining prospect, and we went down to North Carolina, and the guy showed us this horse. And he's like, do you want to ride it? Yeah, fine. So my my client was like, get on, ride, tell me what you think. So I was riding this horse around, and I was just getting it to kind of like, 2-track right, 2-track left, and just seeing how flexible it was and how it would bend its body, what cues it knew, and maybe find something it didn't know. And the guy was like, wow, you're doing things I didn't even know about, And it's like, I mean, he was a reining trainer, and I'm sure that he did know about this, but like maybe in that moment, maybe I was doing something that, he didn't typically do with his horses or whatever.
Right.
Regardless, the horse did what I asked him to do, but it's funny because I didn't know that person at the time, but now through the networks that we've created, I now know exactly who he is. Like, we know each other pretty well, but it's just funny how things kind of move back around like full circle, But I think one thing that is really important, and you hit on this before, like there's, I come from a background of academia. Like I've always ridden horses. I've always trained my own horses. And from a young adult on, I've trained professionally for other people. But I can tell you, a lot of people will ask me, like, we have an internship program, and a lot of the interns that came through that, as you know, you were one of them. Some of them think, oh, I'll spend a year, 2, 3 years with you, and then I'll go train horses. And I say, that's great. You're very capable of doing that. Good luck. Mm-hmm. It will take a while to develop your base, I spent a lifetime learning, and I come from a background of academia, and, I published papers in science, and you think about the education that you got through college or trade school or whatever your realm of education was as a professional. Education, knowledge, and experience are what is going to make you good.
Yeah.
But how do you get your client base? You can't just apprentice with somebody for a year and a half and hang your sign as a trainer.
Yeah.
Because in this industry, people don't trust that. But by the same token, there's no like school that you can go to. There are equine colleges, yes, but you can't come out of them an established trainer. It takes grit, it takes determination, it takes being willing to network with other professionals, it takes experience, and more than anything, it takes word of mouth. So nothing happens fast, but I think through this podcast, if we can give a glimpse of information to some of the up-and-coming trainers or even professionals now, I mean, let's face it, the top trainers, the $1 million riders, they're still scratching each other's backs like, hey, what do you do for this? Or can I come ride with you? Like, they're still working with each other, even at that highest level. And I think it's okay to tell people that are coming up in the industry, don't pat yourself on the back too soon. Don't give up on yourself, but like, reach out, get information. It's so important to learn and keep learning.
Yeah.
The minute you think you have things wrapped up in the bag, you can bury
They fall
yourself
apart.
6 feet under because you're gonna lose.
Yeah.
So you have to keep learning, and I think that's one of the things that I'm most excited about in this podcast is giving people the opportunity to hear from other professionals, whether it's trainers, veterinarians, whatever, whomever we have on this program that can give them some insight into how to upgrade their program, reorganize their program, or add to it.
Yeah, because the business side of things when it comes to horse training too is a whole different ball game. You're not just out there training horses every day,
No, and that's one thing. That's a very good point. Like every time I go to somebody's facility, I look at the design of the facility. From where the arena is with respect to the stalls. What do their wash bays look like? What do they have hanging in their wash bay? what do they use to wrap their horse's legs? You know, what shampoos are they like? I want to get everything I can because I want to stay on top of it for my program.
Yeah. And I think that's where, you know, that's something else that, you know, we want to bring to everyone is it's not just for, you know, young and upcoming trainers, even horse owners, you know, barn managers, everything. The type of people that we want to talk to is just sharing that knowledge. And, you know, for me, learning even like the veterinary stuff behind it, you know, the maintenance of a show horse and how to properly care for your horse. It's just like the small little things. Like, I mean, there's stuff that I learned just this year that I would have been like, I can't believe I didn't learn that 6 years ago. You know what I mean? And it's just every single day you're learning something new. And I feel like with some of the people that we are aiming to talk to, we can bring that to just about anyone, not just the trainers, but owners and breeders and everyone.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. So just to kind of push the point or to summarize, I think what we really want to get through this podcast is we want to get people excited about learning how to build their program. So if you're a trainer, you're going to get information from other top trainers in the industry. You're going to talk to a lot of the professionals, and I'm not giving away any secrets on who we're going to have, but we have some people, very special people lined up, and hopefully we'll get to all of them. We're going to take questions from our followers and get you guys involved. For those of you who are listening now, you know, spread the word and think about what and who you might want to see on this podcast or hear from on this podcast. Content ideas, send them in. I would suggest that for the immediate future, you direct message myself, Suzanne Myers, at SuzanneMyersPerformanceHorses.com or through Instagram.
We're going to try to work together pretty hard to make this sort of a community and a collective effort to provide the knowledge to everyone that's interested. So if you have any questions for us, feel free to reach out on Facebook, Instagram, Suzanne's website, and we'll kind of field those questions as we can. But I'm super excited to learn and share and meet new people. And
yeah, same. We're going to learn a lot too along the way.
Yeah.
You know? Because just when you think you have it all wrapped up, that's when you're like, oh, you know, the light bulbs just turned on and you see another perspective, you know? So we're excited, and I hope you guys all join us for our next episode. Excited to get started. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, everyone.
We'll see you next time. This podcast is brought to you by Suzanne Myers Performance Horses and produced and marketed by Brianna Wolf Media. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to like, subscribe, and leave a review. You can also follow Suzanne Myers Performance Horses on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok to stay up to date on new episodes, behind-the-scenes content, and more. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time on The Rundown.